Hello, I'm Mr. Pleasant Books. For this book talk, we'll be discussing the second book in a New World series, Return, by John O'Brien. In this one, we continue almost immediately from where book one ended, with Jack in Kuwait, having just found Lynn with his son Robert and Robert's girlfriend Michelle, and his two daughters Bree and Nick. They're all there with all the soldiers that they were able to save, about 30 of them. And they're just getting ready to take off. And this is where we see them return home, return back to Washington. And so it's very interesting. It's neat to see the facts that they have in the book. Like he really does know what he's talking about with flying a plane, so that's really neat to see in this. And the weapons and the tactics and all these things are true to life, are things that people can learn, people can do. They're not superhuman, insane. They're actual things that can happen, and that's just a really interesting take. So, read the series. It's really good. From here forth, there will be spoilers. Just letting you know. Okay. A New World Return. This one starts, as I said, with Jack right in Kuwait. They're taking off. Now, as they're flying and as they're going, they kind of get into an argument with the major, and decide, we need to figure out who's actually going to be in charge. Since I'm not in the military, I think Jack says, since I'm not actually in the military, I think we should choose based upon the most experienced, the one who's most likely to keep us alive. And as they talk about all their experiences, Lynn goes up, Jack goes up, the major goes up. They decide that Jack is the most experienced at staying alive and at keeping others alive because he's led soldiers and he's done the spec ops. So he's the most likely who will be able to save them, especially since he's the only one who thought of flying a plane out to sea them. So they choose Jack to be the leader. When they land at lodges, they meet the colonel again with just a skeleton crew because the general found another pilot and took off, leaving the colonel there as kind of a punishment for letting Jack go earlier. So Jack talks to them, tells them the truth. Hey, I'm not really a soldier, but we're trying to survive. You're welcome to come with us. You should come with us. The colonel puts it to a vote with his men. They decide, yeah, we're going to join you. That's our best chance for survival, is to go with you. So they all get on the plane, continue flying back to Washington. Sad part is, as they're flying, they find a plane crash in the ocean. And it's most likely the general and all the men that he took with them. But they can't save him, because it's not a rescue plane that they're in. They see him and they drop supplies to him, but they can't save these people. The world isn't made that way anymore. They hope that they'll get to land with the supplies and the rafts that they dropped, but there's no guarantees. And yeah, it's just kind of a sad note that if they just waited 2 days, they might have made it with Jack and his team. But that's just how it goes sometimes. While they were actually on that lodge's base, they decided to go into the BX, which is weird to hear it called that because I'm Army, I call it PX. Air Force, yeah. They go into the BX and they find that the night runners can kind of change their tactics because they don't just come straight up the rows, they also come over the shelves and in the rafters of the roof. So you have to watch above eye level to make sure you're not getting flanked, they're sweeping behind you, and that they're quick and they're not just dumb animals, these night runners, that they actually do think and they can manipulate things and move things around. Like they found a rock that they broke the window open with, which shows that they're not, again, just not dumb animals, they're smart. So that kind of scares Jack, because what if they learn how to open doors and things like that? That's kind of one of the big things that they have in safety, is that they can't open the doors to anywhere. So if we block it, they won't be able to get in, but now he's starting to wonder if they can. And they still Jack wants to go to the CDC, so they get back in the plane, they fly over there. Lynn convinces him to stay with the airplane, and that it'll be the soldiers who go to the CDC to look for things. Jack says, fine, you know what, but while we're here, I'll teach Robert how to take up and land this plane so that in case anything happens to me, they won't be stuck. They'll be able to keep going and keep safe. So he's teaching Robert that for the rest of the day, while Lynn brings all of the soldiers that she has with her to try to go into CDC, and they run into just a huge horde of night runners. These night runners there's so many of them that they can't get anywhere. They end up getting pushed out. They didn't lose anybody, thankfully, but the soldiers get pushed out and they can't make it in. So Jack decides, I'm going to go in by myself. And honestly, with his training, I can see why he would do that, and he does get in there himself. He thinks to smoke his clothes. Clever idea for creatures that can smell you. He breaks the window rather than go back down the stairs and repels out, which is, again, with his training, I can see this being absolutely true, that this is how he would do it. And he gets away. He finds out, though, that they're 20% stronger, 20% faster. Their sight and hearing are way improved, and their sense of smell is super improved. And that's so now he knows what to look for. Now he kind of knows what he's dealing with. We also find out just how many people died because of this plague and this vaccine, and that of the world, roughly 70% of the population dead, just flat out dead. Died from the disease, died from the vaccination, just dead. About 29% mutated, and which leaves 1% who didn't mutate, who are immune. That's why Jack, even though he didn't get the shot, and even though his kids did get the shot, they're immune because Jack is immune. And so it's basically saying that of the 8 billion people that are on the planet, 800 million didn't die and didn't mutate, while close to 2 billion did mutate, become these monsters. You got to figure that 800 million, how many of them died in the first week because they didn't know what was going on, because they had no defenses, they had no idea of what these night runners were capable of and how to protect themselves. And so the human race is heading towards extinction in this book, in this series, because there's just so many of them. They find that the night runners can also breed. So they're not just going to live for a while and then die out, but that they can breed and become more and more. So this is going to be a problem that lasts hundreds and hundreds of years. It's not just going to be a quick century and humans are back again. No, it's going to take a long time with a lot of effort to push these things out. And that is a terrifying thought. That is a thought that you don't get from most apocalypse books, that this is going to take a while to get rid of this enemy. But Jack, he escapes with all this information, gets on the plane, they start flying back to Washington, when they get another call on the radio of some soldiers who are holed up, maybe about 12 to 15 of them, something like that, I can't remember. So Jack decides to land again to save these soldiers, because, got to save as many people as we can, and we have room on the plane. When they get there, they find hundreds and hundreds of night runners attacking. So Jack got to be the big hero again. He draws most of them away. Some of the night runners stay instead of chasing after Jack, and the soldiers are, they make the fighting retreat back to the plane and get everybody on. But Jack now has to play loop-de-loop with all of these night runners. And he talks about how hard it is to keep running, how he sees that, after he's been dropping grenades behind him and shooting him, and he gets near the plane, so he decides to kick it up a notch, and nothing happens because he's already at all of his notches. That was funny to me. I laughed very hard at that part of the book. Got to give it my all. Oh wait, I already am. I've given everything I have. But Jack makes it back to the plane, gets in safely. We find he has to kill a night runner with his knife, showing that they can be killed just like regular people. They're just faster and stronger than regular people, but they can still be killed like a regular person, which is, again, good to know. Point, though, that we're coming up to the end of the book where they land in Washington. It's daylight, so everybody's safe. They're about to get out of the plane when Jack decides just for the heck of it to turn his phone back on. Just, why not? And of course, phones are still working. And I think the phones would still work for several weeks after everything, like after people died, because the generators, the water generators aren't going to just shut down right away. The computers aren't going to crap out right away. Things would still work. They would degrade, I think, pretty fast, but they would still work for a while after people stop using them, stop working on them, stop monitoring them all the time. And he finds a text message on his phone from somebody, and that it's a big enough deal that it causes him to sit back down in his seat, stunned. And all he wants to do now is call his mom to find out if she's safe. But that's where the book ends. It ends with some more of the Night Runner thoughts. Just showing how they're getting on, how they're progressing themselves. And that's it. That's where the book ends. And I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you read the series and you really like it, because it is a good series. Thank you for listening, and I hope you come back.